This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, well, welcome to the May 1st, 2023 meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. I'm Jamie Puckett, the chair of the committee, joined with John Pepe and Connie Dawson, as well as Cassie Treggert from the Conservation Agent, not from the Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the meeting minutes from last April meeting. Connie circulated.
Did you get a chance?
I move that we've approved them.
Was the change I made? Is that okay?
You had a much earlier version, and I made it. Okay.
I made a change at your request.
I can't remember. Yes, you included essentially what I thought were the recommendations part of the slide
But I changed the intro to that was something we had all agreed to, that you were concerned that what I wrote said that you had.
Okay, that should do it. I read the minutes this time before the meeting, and I thought they were fine. So
great. Okay.
No issues from me either.
So I move that we approve those minutes.
All right, moved to approve, seconded. All in favor?
Excellent. Aye.
Agreed. All right, minutes are approved. Thank you. You can submit those to the city.
I will.
Apparently, we're doing a lot better than a lot of committees, from what I'm hearing.
Are we? In terms of
a lot of them are like 6 months, including school committee and others.
That's
6 months behind.
That's against the law.
Yeah, right. So
did you do the training?
Yes, I did. Listen.
Yeah.
So it's time for public speak.
Public speak, yes. So welcome. Bruce is your name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does he have to get, is there anything about he
Sworn in?
has to tell us his whole name? Or does
I
it
don't
matter?
think so, but you can tell us your full name.
I mean, I don't care if you don't
What
want to.
about the background check?
Because sometimes when you talk to the
The
school.
public can show up and speak. We do not need a
Great.
background check.
Okay.
No. But welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You name Bruce. Do you want to give your last name?
Volz, V-O-L.
What a cool name.
VOLZ. Okay.
So I'm interested in electric.
I was going to say.
I know. I thought you were going to say VOLT. I was getting really excited.
So you've brought an issue to us here today around electric vehicle charging. Like anything you'd like to speak to specifically?
Well, I've had an EV since 2016, and the big issue is it's great that people are putting a lot of level 2 chargers, but I think to really make the switch, it's got to go to level 3 because you can sit at this charger out here and I'll be here for an hour and I'm going to get 10 miles. So, more and more that's going to be an issue as more vehicles go that way.
So this is a level 2.
This is level 2, yeah.
And the ones out on like Pleasant and Ferry Street, I imagine those are also level 2s.
The only ones that I know that are level 3 is Gary Rome has one.
Okay. That's accessible to the public.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And who is that? Where?
Gary Rome, the car dealership in Holyoke.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, and I think there might be one at the Nissan dealer.
Okay.
Are the Teslas? The
Well,
one over the bridge
Teslas.
over there, just over the bridge at the Hadley?
There's a superstation, but they're not accessible.
Not yet. They're supposed to open it.
They're supposed to.
Cassie, I'll ask you, since with the Teslas that the police department is getting, are they putting a separate charger in over there?
Yeah, so they got the charger, but it was not, the charger was not paid for through the Green Communities grant.
Right.
Only because if they wanted to be paid for through Green Communities, it needed to be accessible to the public, and they did not want it to be accessible to the public because they wanted to always be available for their use.
Right.
Which I can understand.
And
yeah. Is it a level 2 or level 3? Do you know?
I don't know, but I can ask. But I don't know if it's level 2 or 3.
And can both of them plug in? Only them?
I think it's, I don't know. I think that it is the capacity to charge both at the same time is my assumption, because most of them, the base unit has 2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. I've not seen it, so I don't know what the details of it are. But it's definitely not accessible to the public.
Which one are you referring to? Police departments?
Police department, yeah.
Bruce, do you know of infrastructure challenges to putting level 3 in? Is there like adequate, electric capacity, or is that an issue potentially with this? Or
Well, it would probably have to be near I don't know a lot about the details.
Sure.
But it's a lot more voltage. It's like 350 or something.
Right, so it would have to be in a stepped up sort of voltage environment
Right.
from
So you couldn't put one in like a home. It would just be.
Oh, you couldn't? Okay.
Not a level 3.
Okay.
So whether, like with these out here, if one of those could be converted, I don't know. If, you know, you'd have to go through National Grid or something.
Right.
So they have quite a bit higher rates, utility rates, charges for charging at level 3, from what I understand. And is the assumption, your assumption in the going, I don't know what the town's doing, charging, is you get your own card charge for the electricity you're buying?
Yes.
So you're assuming customer pays with a level 3?
It's
Well-
not quite exactly a one-to-one, unfortunately, the way that it's set up in the city. If you want me to launch into it, you can respond first if you'd
Sure.
like, but I should add after if I can.
You know, if it's by a private company, they can set the rate. So, you know, if you're charging in 20 to 30 minutes and getting 200 miles versus sitting someplace for, you know, 8 hours or 10 hours, you know, I think that the feeling is that it's worth the additional cost to do it that way. Ideally, if you have both, then people can make the choice.
So I wonder if there are grants available.
So here's the situation with the chargers. So the way that the chargers, people are feed to use them. Sorry, because I want to say charge, but that's like confusing.
Yeah.
So people have to pay money to use them, right?
Please tell them.
There's a certain number of options. We use a program called ChargePoint.
That's for
The
these out
ones
here,
out front here and the ones
at Ferry.
Exactly right.
Pleasant.
So those ones, ChargePoint gives us a variety of options of how to feed people. And the way that we have them set right now is that people are feed by kilowatt hour. And then once their vehicle is fully charged, they have 30 minutes to move the vehicle. If they don't,
Right.
after 30 minutes, it costs them $2 an hour to be there.
Okay.
And the only purpose of the $2 an hour charge when it's done is just to encourage people to move.
Right.
So then it becomes available for others. The 25-cent per kilowatt hour charge was devised because it's technically a cheaper rate than gasoline, and it's more fair. If you have a more efficient vehicle, it makes more sense for you, and it's more fair based off of the
What
efficiency
was
of
the
your
rate?
vehicle. 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So, but then the bill that the city receives for the electricity that those chargers are using does not match what we charge people to use them or fee people to
Is it
use them.
demand
So
based?
is the city paying more than 25 cents?
Absolutely, yes. So we pay for another additional fee, which is called a demand charge. That's basically every time that they are used, it triggers this demand charge. The demand charge is quite costly, and it's a lot higher in Western Mass than it is in other parts of the state.
And
So
who is charging
Eversource.
that?
Eversource.
So it's based off of the rate plan that we have the chargers under. And I believe we have rate 0 is the plan that they are. There are other rate plans, but those rate plans restrict you on use, like, during the weekends or in the evenings. We wanted them to be available all the time. And the city was like, we're ready to eat the cost, because the point of these is not a money-making venture, certainly. And the point of them is to encourage people to switch and see that this is a normalizing thing of the chargers, which I think makes sense.
Can I just ask one thing? So you're saying that over and above whatever this city pays for electricity, for whatever they use electricity for, there's a special fee just for the chargers that Eversource is charging.
Yeah, because they're a separate meter. So
How
that
do they
meter-
justify that?
Well, it's-
Electricity is electricity.
Because it's not a constant demand, it's
Yeah.
not a constant source of electrical demand, and they
That's
claim
right.
they have to go to other sources to supplement the power on the line to meet that kind of demand. That's why it's called.
How many chargers are there in that parking lot? 4?
Exactly.
It's a concept,
I
right?
find
It's
that-
a concept, right? You gotta figure it at scale.
Anyway, we should let him talk.
Well, yeah, but
Sorry,
at scale, it is an issue for them and for the ISO to like be figuring out like when is demand happening and how do we make sure we have enough transmission and
Right.
generation happening to meet that demand. So
And
they
it's
do have to,
Higher in Western Mass,
and
because
your regulatory, they're allowed to do it from a regulatory
Exactly.
And I
standpoint.
believe different utilities in different states take different postures
Right.
on that, so that some of it isn't seems so usurious or whatever, extreme.
So if we were to, in theory, if there was a level 3 charger put in, it would be some other complicated sort of rate structure for that, probably,
not
right? Because
sure.
it's like a higher voltage. It's like not at like your standard.
Yeah, I don't know, actually, frankly.
Well, because of the shortened time, you may be using the same amount of
Right.
kilowatts, but it's just in a condensed period.
Right.
Like the co-op, all of those chargers,
Yeah.
they give you an hour free
Nice.
before they start charging.
Okay.
But those are level 2 chargers.
Those are level
Those are
2.
level 2, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can set them up any way you want. Like I have a home charger
Yeah.
that at 11 o'clock, and you can set the charger, so at 11 o'clock, it's a reduced rate to like
Mhm.
6 in the morning.
Right.
So, but for these, the public use, it probably
Yeah.
It's hard.
prime time.
I tried to explore like different ways that we could make them more affordable and make more sense. So one option was like, can we avoid the demand charge by throttling the machines so that they never, because it's only once you reach a certain demand that triggers that charge.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be so slow, they'd be even slower than what you're concerned about already. And people would probably think that they were broken, unfortunately, especially if all of them were being used at once.
Right,
Yeah.
you're just trying to get like half an hour worth of charge
Yeah.
in there or
It's
something.
like not working. So that wasn't a good option. And I discussed this with Eversource. We have like a contact with Eversource and be like, is there another rate we can use? And they're like, no, not really. That makes sense for the ones they described to me. And then I think it's also pretty complicated to switch our rate. And then the last piece of it was they were like, we're working with the state to develop a new rate that would be applicable for chargers that would make more sense. And I recently went to, but that's the DPU is notoriously slow, Department of Public Utility. So I recently went to the Recharge Massachusetts Symposium, which was really interesting, but it was all about electric vehicles and charging stations and things like that. And I raised this issue of being like, wow, it's a big problem for how we can afford to do these things, and we want to do them more. We're doing what we are now, and it's not going to go away, but we want more. And they have Eversource and National Grid have been working with the state for a lot of really good improvements to make it more accessible. One of the things was a demand charge rebate. However, we don't qualify for it because we don't have enough chargers. So they said you have to have, typically there's like, it equates to about 10 to 14 chargers on a meter for you to be qualified to use the rebate,
Okay.
which is
That's an
not
existing
fair.
rebate though?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's gonna carry on existing, but I asked them explicitly, I described our situation, they're like, oh yeah, it's a gap, we're working on it, we gotta figure it out. Because Western Mass, the demand charge is so much harsher, probably because of transmission and getting it out here. I don't really understand it, frankly, but it's a bit of a weird situation, unfortunately. It's a problem.
Was there anything in the infrastructure bill?
I don't know. I think that there's a question
That's a
of,
good question.
one of the biggest barriers is increasing transmission out to Western Mass. And the big barrier of that is like, well, what's the path for the transmission line? And a lot of towns probably don't want it going through their town because it's a huge clearing. It's a process to install it, but
Yeah, and that's a nationwide issue for sure.
Well, certainly.
Building new transmission.
Yeah.
I think New York just got some approved finally, but
Is there any community solar or anything?
well,
Is that-
that's a good question.
in order to provide power directly for something like that.
Committing solar, you said?
Community solar.
Oh, community solar.
Where like the city could sign up to put their chargers on like a offset by the community solar?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we do have, the city already has a couple solar contracts for things.
How does that work with our batteries? Battery storage. I mean, you'd have some backup some of the time, and not today. You wouldn't be getting city solar covering that.
Well, right, I mean, yeah,
Credit.
community solar works on a credit basis, generally speaking, yeah.
Well, it's gonna be a huge issue here.
Oh, it's not going away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's only gonna get
yeah.
more demand and, for
Right.
anybody who doesn't have a home charger, it's almost unworkable.
Yeah.
Because that's what's limiting people from buying electric vehicles, the charging.
The
Right.
federal government program, I believe, is focusing on getting people interstate and across the country and getting the fast chargers out where the highway service stations are
Right.
everywhere, so people don't have to go more than 50 miles or whatever it is,
right.
and less focus on how you get within your cities and between small cities and whatever. But are you saying that for you, it's worth it when your battery's running low and you don't have time to go home, and you got to get somewhere, you don't have time to go home and charge at home for a few hours, to pay whatever the high rates are
They don't pay the high rates. People,
But we
citizens
could,
don't.
if the issue was we didn't want the city to have to absorb this subsidy to private vehicle
I've
owners.
tried to
then-
figure it out.
Yeah.
The way that it's charged, the way that it accrues the demand charge, there isn't a way to make it 1-to-1 for
Sure.
it's like
But
it's
you
math
could-
is different than
You
what
could theoretically
the
raise
options
the rate that you're charging,
Yeah.
like you could charge 50 cents a kilowatt hour theoretically.
That's what I'm getting at.
And just say, yeah, I mean, you know, we don't know what the demand charge is going to be in every single case, but overall this would help cut
It
cut
may,
off that.
yeah. I think that was the question of like, the demand charge is just so much. It's like
Mhm.
$9-10. Like it's expensive each time. So like,
Wow.
I had to look at it again.
It's
Just
based
verify
on,
those
it's
numbers.
based on a kilowatt hour?
No, it's based off of, or like reaching a certain threshold triggers the demand charge. If that makes
Watts.
sense. Of call, I think 2
2 kilowatts.
Kilowatts.
makes more sense. I'm so sorry.
From
I
the
just
from the
looked at it
chargers
again.
themselves,
That's
like
correct.
because they're a separate meter, so when that
Correct.
meter reaches a certain threshold, demand charge
Yes.
kicks
Because
in.
that could be multiple vehicles contributing to that
Yep.
threshold.
Right.
It's usually, I think just when
One,
we reach it with one, my understanding is.
2,000, but they don't hold.
I mean, the other thing you could do is, I don't know
Holds
what
more than
what
100
else
200
charge
watts in a
point
battery.
offers, but like
You know, something like that.
the other thing you can do is like do it as like a subscription service kind of thing where you have to pay or pay like a membership fee.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want
Miles.
I
too
think,
much crosstalk.
no,
here.
I
What
understand what you're
vehicles do you
saying.
have?
A Hyundai.
Yeah.
Mm.
Part of the other reason that we didn't increase the cost now was just that they would just be competitive and people would be compelled
Right.
to use them. We didn't
Right.
want them, we could slightly increase the cost so that they're more expensive than neighboring chargers and people are less likely to use them. But the difference that it would make in the, like, it's just, it doesn't make up for the amount of cost that they have.
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
makes it
It's-
worth it to discourage people to use them.
It's kind of the
You know?
loss leader right now, right? It's
Yeah.
like do this to get people thinking about it, right? And then we got the like the move EV.
But the fast chargers
Program.
that I've read about for buses, for electric school buses, and I mean they've got to bring a battery up to 80% faster than a car, but still I think it's the same. I think it's roughly the same. The federal government is for eligible customers is subsidizing those, but I guess they can be $60,000-$80,000 installed.
The chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
for
it's-
level 3.
It's a big
Level
commitment.
3,
For level 3s, yeah, it's a big commitment.
I
That's,
think the last time I looked at it was 44,000.
you know.
And that's for like a single charger, essentially, or would that be a station? It's a dual. Okay.
Yeah.
Charger.
So, I mean, what I can say is, like, I appreciate you coming to raise the concern because it is a real one and it's not going away. But hopefully, at least this is not the answer that you wanted to hear, I'm sure. But hopefully, at least it's good to know, like, we're working on it, we're trying to figure it out. But we're not alone in this problem. I know
Right.
Agawam is experiencing the same thing.
Right, and
Yeah.
Northampton.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a member of the, I had a friend once who's died since, but it's 5-6 years ago. He had a all-electric vehicle and he was let me know about the Pioneer Valley Electric Vehicle Association. They would seem like to be a good organization, how big they are to get on board with figuring out what the solution is and advocating for policies and whatever. But
Mm-hmm. I guess as it stands right now with any of development going on in the city, any new things, Union Street, perhaps, what's going on Tasty Top area. Is there any plan for additional charging stations at this point in time?
yes, there is a requirement in the new building code that we have to, that is in effect because we're green communities.
Mhm.
They will have to put in a certain number of chargers. I'm sure they won't be
They-
level 3.
No.
They being who, apartments and like developments?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
okay.
required,
Like
yeah.
the one here going up near,
So they have the one on.
Well, assuming that they weren't, that they got everything approved after January 1st, I don't know, if you're building something and you got all your approvals before January 1st, you probably don't have to comply.
January 1st of this year?
Yeah,
It's not
Okay,
yet been
so
approved in any way, so.
yeah.
I
but
was-
here's something should be mentioned, go ahead.
Well, I know out in West, Starbucks is adding in level 3 chargers as a pilot program.
Mm.
Do you know if there's anything happening with the one?
Don't
The one
know.
that's being built there, I don't know.
They should be made to provide them for free in compensation for all the idling exhaust from their
Drive-through.
drive-throughs.
Say that again, where is Starbucks? Do you know that they're doing that?
I heard that it was, they were just doing a pilot program. out
Where?
west, like in
Out
Seattle
west,
or
yeah.
someplace.
But we should mention for Bruce, I think, that we don't have answers on this right now, but we have a consultant for a city climate action plan that's got to look at a whole range of issues, including transportation and getting transportation electrified and people functioning with electric vehicles. And this is something we could ask them to try to look hard at and take some input on.
It will certainly be
Weston and Sampson.
It will certainly be a component of the climate action plan. And then the only other piece I could add is that working with Move EV recently on the electrification of the city's fleet. Well, I raised this issue to them, and they were very curious to hear about it and are looking at it as well to see if they have any suggestions. But it is the $1 million question that whoever figures it out is going to do quite well, because you need to. We're not alone in this issue, and I've not yet heard a solution. But
That conference, go ahead.
Some of it will, like, there's a hotel up in Burlington where my daughter lives, I stay at. And part of the reason I stay there is because they have a level 3 charger. And, you know, it's $38 to charge up or something, but that's still cheaper than gas.
right,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
of course.
So, maybe it won't be the municipal, the towns that will be solving this
It's
problem,
true.
it might be private.
Right, no, that's very true.
Or kind of in conjunction with, you know, government policy that encourages that or provides some sort of either
Some
tax
subsidies,
abatement
yeah.
or
Yeah.
something sort of incentive that it, again, catalyzes the industry so then it can be kind of self-sustaining.
Be nice if we didn't have to long-term pay
Yeah.
premiums on the actual cost of a service, because it's privately operated, and the government could do it in the long run, instead of like gas stations where we're shelling out a lot of money
Yeah.
beyond the cost of the product. So.
But I mentioned, you know, I mean, the government's gonna be invested in bridging or finding ways to like not just like cut, you know, I don't know if those investors or, you know, shareholders and people who own those things like,
Right.
just like say, oh, no, your business doesn't make money anymore, sorry.
They're the ones that have the capital.
Cassie, am I right in thinking that there are plans to have EV chargers at the new school?
Yes, they are installed.
Oh, they are
They
there.
are not turned on.
Why?
Especially for this issue, which I've been describing.
Because
Cost.
of the
Yeah, the
cost.
financial cost was not yet sorted out in the budget.
So
Needs to be
that would have
sorted
been
out.
borne out by the school
Exactly.
specifically, and so because of
Why would the
that,
school
because of the
have to-
demand charge,
Yes.
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 Why would the school have to pay for it? That doesn't make
Because it's
sense.
their meter in there. It's like
They don't
separated
pay.
in
They
its
don't
own-
pay for their soccer fields.
Oh lordy. But so
I'm not gonna take that
Yeah.
bait.
That conference
Just saying. I'm just saying.
on the
Yeah.
charging infrastructure
But-
was about, right? The conference was just.
But it is because it's on their meter, right? It's their meter, so
I see.
they
I
pay
see.
their electric,
Yeah.
all the other
I
electric
see.
meters.
But
are in the
that
school
surely that
budget.
could be. There could be a way to have the city pay for that. There must be a. You
I
could
mean,
just.
technically it
That's-
is.
well, the city is paying
No.
for it. It's
No,
just
but
a-
I mean, not have it be part of the school's budget.
It's
You
an
know.
interesting
It's
question.
like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Well, that's
Right.
right. You have
Somebody's
to, you have to take the money right from someone.
But if the
else in
city is
budget.
subsidizing these, it seems to me the city could also subsidize the ones at the school. That's all I'm saying. You know, that
That's
doesn't
an
seem like a
interesting
huge leap for
And
me.
have you had specific
But-
resistance to that idea?
It's not yet imposed, frankly. I
Okay.
think because it's been, you know, a process to figure out the budget for these ones,
Mhm.
the ones that are here and the ones that vary. So that's a whole other question of how and if we could factor in that cost.
Do you
It's-
know approximately what the cost is to the city or
For these
estimated
ones?
cost for these for a year?
Well, it was hard because it was wrapped up in the Valley Bike membership costs.
Hmm.
There's also a kind of a revolving cost to have I guess you would call it like the insurance for the machines, like the maintenance costs, if that makes
Uh-huh.
sense. Like we have a contract with Voltrek to like keep them working and running right. So I can get that information, but I
Okay.
don't have it off the top of my head how
Okay.
much it was. I know that the last budget request for the Valley Bike membership and electricity of them and electricity of these chargers and the ones on Ferry Street and for the, like, I think it was 2 years worth of the assurance stuff, the whatever.
Insurance?
Insurance? We made a big budget request that was kind of like a safe bet of 20,000 for all of those.
Okay,
So,
for 2 years? For 1
I
year?
think it was for 1 year. I had to double check again. I'm sorry. Yeah, I need
No,
to
no,
double
it's-
check
So
again.
it's your-
I'm always slow to
conference.
keep up. There are also chargers on Ferry Street that we
Correct.
own.
Yeah, right near the new building on the Rotary there.
Yeah, on
New-
Lovely.
Right.
And
New
why do
Ferry
we own
Street,
the,
yeah,
why does the
absolutely
city
lovely.
own those?
Because city owns the right of way, and they thought it was a good, which I think is right. They
Okay.
wanted to
and those
incentivize.
are up and running.
Correct.
Those are, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
How many are there? It's like 6 or 8 or something.
Oh, I can't remember.
I
I
don't
should
see
know.
them in-
I
I
should
We're asking,
know.
you-
I don't see
Putting
them.
you on the spot.
Yeah, you need to be prepared.
I've written
They
the
drive
whole
by there
report.
like
EV
I
homework.
A lot of vacant
I
time,
know.
downtime with them. At that conference,
Yes.
which was about charging infrastructure, right? People from all over Massachusetts.
Yes.
Did they bring in anybody from other states who had solutions elsewhere that they tried elsewhere? That we haven't got to yet, but,
No,
No?
a lot of the presenters were from more like a regional thing than just like a
okay.
town-based thing, if that makes sense. And it's part of a larger group called Recharge America. And this
Oh,
is just
yeah.
like the Massachusetts portion, if that makes sense.
That was the conference was
Yeah.
put on by? Okay.
So we, as you can see, have very few members.
Yes.
And we're
I'll put
always
pressure
looking
on
for people to join us, to help us with, you
wanna
know,
keep up on
moving
this issue.
forward on some of these issues. So, you know, if it's something that you really feel strongly about and you'd like to get involved in making it happen, please feel free to join us.
Well, thank you, I will consider that.
Good, that's good to
We
hear.
would love to
Or if you
have
know
Good
other
to
people.
hear.
We would love to have you.
Yes.
We do have a couple of vacancies minimum currently that are available, so.
Okay.
If nothing else, we should get like phone number, email for you, so we get new developments or news or whatever, we can share that with you.
Well, the very least I mentioned, as of now, the mayor is supposed to be at our meeting next month. I've invited her, and they're currently on her calendar for next first Monday of June, whatever. That is at 3:00. So if you want to come back then, I was going to ask you if you've had direct conversations with the mayor about any of this, or if you know kind of where her mind is at.
I haven't yet. I talked to her briefly when we did the Movie V event, but it wasn't like formal. So
Right,
my plan,
I did too, and
yeah. My plan was to kind of type up like a summary of my experience at the conference and like explain that. It basically would be what I just told y'all, and then I had some information about electric buses that I think we talked about, and then
June 5th is the first Monday.
June 5th. Thank you. So June 5th at 3:00 is the next meeting.
oh, and I'm not gonna be able to go to that meeting. I'm sorry. Did I already say that?
You
before
did
in the
not.
Email? I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna be able to attend, but I will provide a written
Okay.
update for you all beforehand.
Okay, well, yeah, part of what I wanted to do today is like you figure out the things that we want to make sure we cover with her next time, so
Yeah.
that she can hear. But this is a big one. I'd love to hear directly from her, kind of what her thoughts are, and any other things that might be percolating, because it doesn't always trickle down to us. You know, we don't always know some of that. But that would be, yeah, it's a big thing, and it's definitely something that we're going to have to figure out, because again, starting with this, you know, Move EV partnership beyond the city fleet, we're trying to encourage, you know, city employees to convert to electric. You mentioned the infrastructure bill before. You know, at the national level, there's all this money going to be start pouring into electrical upgrades for homes, you know, panel upgrades and electric vehicle, you know, charging installations and things like that. So there's going to be money. There's going to be stuff happening on that side, but there is this big question of like when you're not plugged into your home charger, like what do we do? Yeah,
If you're
especially when we got
tenant, you don't have access to
That's a
that.
big question.
yeah, I mean, certainly, you know, you mentioned out west too, like California, I'm sure, you know, they're always at the forefront of like pushing mandates for things and like phasing out, you know, I don't know if do they have a specific plan to phase out gas-powered
I think
vehicles at this
yes,
point?
and I
Yeah,
think you
so
mentioned it as well. I think it's
Yeah.
coming from Massachusetts.
I wonder how much of that's like,
Or 2030 or
I
something.
think
That's
so.
federal now, based on the
Mhm.
emissions requirements or.
right, that's right,
So
yeah.
it is a problem that will need to be solved.
Yeah, yeah, and whether it's gonna be at the state level, local level, federal level.
I just
And
heard,
the electricians to do it all.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole other problem.
Yeah, that's what I know.
I
I was
just
just
heard-
talking to a friend of mine last night who is an electrician. Apprentice
for my
program.
son, who's put in an order for a
We
Chevy
need to move
Bolt.
on. It's 33:30.
Bolt.
Bolt. A couple months back, put 1,000 down on it. That
Do you have, yeah, here, that's right.
they are not
Do you have
going to
to leave a
be
certain time?
No.
They're gonna
they
cease
have to go
production
over the sun-
of the
Yeah.
Bolt, and also that the American automobile manufacturers
Oh, Well,
are going to
there's
specialize,
survey
are
discussions
going to focus on trucks,
So,
Yeah.
maybe SUVs and trucks, and not passenger.
That's gonna take a while.
yeah.
So I don't know how all
There's
the
stuff
federal
a little
subsidies
faster.
are going to work for electric vehicles,
We'll just
because
see.
they require them to be, a certain portion of them, their parts and manufacturing happen domestically, and if the American manufacturers are not going to do passenger cars.
Well, they're getting rid of that because they came up with a whole new platform, and the bulb is on the old platform.
Oh, I see.
So in order to, they are replacing it with something
Something
else.
Maybe his deposit will apply to the next
Yeah.
model.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
there'll be a few more things that touch on this. Probably we are talking about like electric school bus fleets and stuff like that. Thank you for coming and sparking this conversation.
Yeah, really.
It's
well,
definitely.
co-op the meeting.
No.
Oh no,
No, no.
absolutely no.
Co-op
This
is
is part
in
of
a lot of this,
part of the
yeah.
process. We'd love to
It's-
have somebody
it's-
here to talk through and like give us some additional things to think about and like, bring to the mayor's attention too, and start having that dialogue with them so that we can really,
Yeah, I'd like to come to the next meeting.
Yeah,
Put it on my
please.
calendar.
Great.
Excellent.
It'd be wonderful. And you're welcome to stay now as we talk through a few more things here today.
Okay.
What was I going to say to wrap that up? I don't remember. But so,
That was good enough.
what's that?
That was good.
Good enough segue. All right, well, I've already mentioned in the committee updates, I've already mentioned that the mayor is scheduled to come to the next meeting. The other thing to talk about here for a moment is this Bees Committee, which is the new Biodiversity, Environment, and Ecological Sustainability Committee that was established under City Ordinances, Chapter 2, Division 12, by the City Council on April 19th. So there is a membership for this committee. It's made up of one member of the Conservation Commission, one member of the Agricultural Commission, one member of the Energy Advisory Committee, one sitting City Council member, and 3 mayor appointees. These are all 3-year terms with the exception of the City Council member, which is for the remaining term of their office. I think those 3-year terms maybe apply to the commission or the committees themselves, and maybe not this new committee. I could be wrong. So we have been asked to select a member of our committee to join the new Bees Committee established by the
This
city
is the
council.
wrong way to go about it. What
I
they
don't
need-
want to
what
be
they-
on that committee.
What they need to do is make one member of the new Bees Committee be part of the Energy
That would make
Advisory
more sense.
Committee. We don't
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
diluting our
Yeah, I'm
focus
just not-
over more stuff.
I bow out.
You bow out. Okay. Well,
How about we appoint Matt Goldstein,
who?
nominate
Maren?
Matt Goldstein for that
Maren?
position. Maren, I mean.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
I don't
Yeah.
think. I'm not
Just kidding.
prepared to.
I mean, I think we can give them the feedback that none of us feel that we have the time to participate. And if they're welcome to come to our meetings and update us on what they're doing. But
How about,
John.
what? No, I already said, didn't I already say no?
Did you already
Can't
say
you read
no?
between the lines? Sorry.
I did not read
And Jamie,
that. Put it on the official
Jamie, what
record,
about
please.
you?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we need to provide somebody for it, so.
well, we don't have
That's
to.
an interesting question
Well,
of what the commitment would be.
Maybe
I
if
don't
we get
know.
more
If we don't,
members,
we have
but-
to. Well, I mean, we certainly need more members, and we could do that. But we did.
Maybe
I
one
was,
of them would
I
like
was
to join
instructed.
our committee, and then they can be the representative to their committee.
The marching orders I got from the city clerk is I have to include this on an upcoming agenda so we can select a member to join this new committee. When you've selected a member, please let me know who you've chosen.
I think the issue is that the committee doesn't exist yet. There's no extra
Right.
people. Like,
Why they
This
create
is
a
making
committee
it-
if there's not a groundswelling of
Well, there-
interest to people who will join that committee and then communicate with us and
what I can say is that there
Talk to
was a
some
lot of
select-
public interest to have it. They
Yes.
did like a pollinator action plan and development of that. There's a lot of people came out for it. It was really exciting. But, so there are going to be public members, I think, of the committee. But I don't know that
so
they-
I'll call up Connie Denham and Omar.
Yeah.
And make that's your job, right? Or your prerogative, but I mean, I don't mind calling and saying, listen, we got a shitload of work to do here. Why don't we get some of the new B committee members and with all the upswelling of interest in it and have
I
them
think what we
join
ought
our-
to do is
our-
nothing.
Well, Jamie's
Okay,
not happy
I
with that.
disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Owen, I think, is especially the sort of the person driving this forward to start. I will have a conversation with him.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Owen, Jarrett.
Yeah.
And talking about that, and maybe he can identify people who might be interested in serving on this, who would then be interested in joining our committee. For the time being, famous last words, I am okay with being the member and like going to initial meetings to see what's going on and to talk, and again, maybe as a way to recruit members for this committee who would be interested in that dual purpose. Or they could put their name on this committee in name only, and if they don't show up, we still have a quorum. If they just want to do that, and then we can talk. But no, I'd rather have somebody that's committed to this and coming to this and being a part of that as well. But I will put my name in there for now to see when meetings are happening. Hopefully there'll be at a time that I can be there and report back.
And what I can say, I don't know what I'm allowed to do, and if it would even be sufficient. I don't know if I'm going to be involved with that committee at all or not. But if I am, if I'm already going to these ones, maybe a liaison. Rounds it's the same,
Right.
Because y'all are like the energy right people. Like, I don't know if that would be the same, but maybe it'd be helpful.
Did the Conservation Commission already pick somebody?
No, our next meeting's on the 8th.
On the 8th. Okay.
We didn't meet on the 24th like we were supposed to. So.
Okay. All right. And are you do you deal with the Agricultural Commission?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. No, it is interesting.
And I wonder which sitting city council member will be
Probably
included in this. Well, I would assume it's Owen, but yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And then who the mayor is going to appoint.
Yeah.
3 people.
Yeah.
So, again, maybe a source of something we can talk to her about next meeting.
Oh, that's true.
About to the point where she has ideas, like maybe again somebody that would be willing to be on this committee and part of that as well.
Okay.
All right, so move on from that. I did not expect the reaction.
Let's not shoot that early.
That's fine. No, everyone's gotta be the.
I want to do
guardian.
more. I want to do more of what's directly part of our mission,
Agreed.
and versus doing less of that and getting pulled off onto other stuff. That's how I feel about it. And we're not
Yeah,
city
I think the
employees.
idea-
Can't
right.
fire us.
What does B stand for?
Well, we can be removed.
It's disappointing.
We can be removed, and technically we are special
That would be
employees. I was
stupid.
informed that
That would
we
be
are,
stupid.
in the context of this program, we are considered special employees of the city, and we are eligible to participate in.
Really?
Yes. So,
No kidding.
yeah, that's
Wow.
okay. Directly from the mayor.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Sorry, I just missed that.
Yeah, I know. She's so that's. I was going to put that at the end of the
That's-
agenda, but we can, real quick,
That's
can say
very
yes,
nice.
we are eligible. I did the
I'll be
quick.
on the B committee for a new electric vehicle.
Yeah, no, I took the survey and now like the next part of it, but I have not. It's not giving me. They'll walk you through incentives that are available in filing. You're not getting any cash incentives directly from them beyond what would normally be available.
Okay.
But they're just helping you navigate the process.
Movie, yeah.
Yeah. So feel free to do the survey and follow up. I did that. I haven't done the next step in the process yet, but apparently we are eligible.
Diversity environment.
I just crying down the name of this committee, environment.
Oh, the B, yeah.
It's in the middle there.
I
Where do you
could,
live with?
And ecological
Third Street.
sustainability.
There.
Building.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
oh, nice.
The one, number 1, or the first one?
Or 3.
No, that's all office.
Oh, the next one, the
It's
newest,
number
the newest
5.
one.
Okay.
So I watch those.
Oh, no problem.
And plug in there every now and then.
Yeah.
That would be too inconvenient for you.
No.
Do they have chargers at the building, the 530 itself?
Once, he was planning on it, but once they put those in, then he can take a pass.
Watch the hands out. Interesting. I wonder if they'll be required for any of the further development that they're doing there. Still, because there's still construction and stuff going on, right?
Yeah, he's doing a whole other 2 more buildings.
2 more buildings, right?
But it got slowed down because of COVID and
Yeah.
supply chain issues, so it's hard to know when the next one, I think 25 or 26.
You two off topic. How do you find living over there?
I've only been there a month. so,
Okay, yeah.
But so far it's great. They have a rooftop place on
Oh,
the
nice.
road, and, he takes really good care of the place.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, do they guarantee the people who buy in there that they're gonna either finish the renovation of the other old factories or demolish them? Or is it, you just have to trust that it's
No,
gonna
I'm
happen?
just renting.
Oh, that helps. That helps. Really getting off track.
That's okay. Yeah, it's yeah.
Well,
We're doing fine.
I apologize. I have a dentist appointment.
Oh, well, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, we
Really,
appreciate
it was
coming.
really a
See you next month.
useful
Look forward to-
comment.
That
so
forward to
thank
seeing
you.
you.
that should be at least as much fun as this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these questions answered by now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
We're gonna have a
we
complete-
guarantee that.
I like the shoes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the shoe company.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Public speak. Success.
First public speak.
All right, so let's move on to the municipal aggregation piece. The quick update there is that we have now scheduled an actual meeting between the city
Great.
solicitor and Good Energy's legal team for May 22nd, 3 weeks from now.
Good.
Mayor sent out invites and everything, so I think she'll be there. I'm planning to be there as well. If anybody else would like an invite to that, I think it's going to be online. I think it's going to be via Zoom. So if you'd like to sit in on that, let me know, and I'm happy to
We
provide.
don't need to be there, do we?
You do not, but the option is there.
Fewer people, the faster it'll go, probably.
Yeah, just if you're, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be pretty dry.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. But if you have an interest in contract negotiations, then it's available to you. But let's, then from there, hopefully that gets that part ironed out, and then we are free to create our plan with Good Energy and get that signed, and then we can, if at the next meeting, we'll be able to talk about next steps with them and getting that moving. So, yeah, very excited to have that moving forward. All right, climate action plan. We have had some, discussion about this, or some sharing of draft survey that Weston and Sampson has put together. I know you both,
I had a few comments.
Connie and John both had comments on that. I did look through the residential one. I did not put together comments, but I thank you all for doing that. So you all had, it seemed like there was some overlap between your thinking in that. So, Connie, you want to start?
Okay,
Your thoughts?
generally speaking, I would like to see the language de-jargonized. I mean, if we're sending this out to people who are not with the program, who are not familiar with, you know, all the things associated with resiliency and net zero, we just can't use those terms. They mean nothing. Like even using the term technology in their intro, they say something about net zero technology. Well, I'm sure there are people who are going to think that has something to do with computers. I mean, I really think they need to change the language. And I made a suggestion of a way to change the very beginning part, which, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be what I wrote, but I just tried to make it more obvious. Like this section I wrote, the city of Easthampton is developing a climate action plan. Why are we doing it? In response to the city's council's climate emergency resolution. I think that needs to be in there. The plan will serve as a roadmap for local businesses, residents, and our municipal departments to become a city that reduces its reliance on fossil fuels and increases its adoption of clean energy. I mean, I just think I think most people will understand that as opposed to what they wrote. And I also commented that I was glad that they said something about the state and federal incentives. I think it's good to get that in there right away. And then the fact we're also talking about resiliency. And then I went through the questions. I mean, do you want me to just go through all these questions? Do you want me to just say them?
Go for it.
Okay. I was wondering whether under resident, whether we should make optional, like just boulders, because I'm afraid that some people won't get any further if they think they have to say who they are, especially if they want to say negative stuff.
Good. Sorry.
And I felt the same way about the building management property owner. If someone's a tenant, they just may want it to be really anonymous. I don't know if that's the case, but it's
Are those fields optional or are they required?
Doesn't say either way.
I think the building manager one was not optional.
The only way to know whether it was required is you can't move on further in the
But
survey.
I'm pretty sure
you
that
don't
was
answer
not
everything.
optional. If you were a tenant, they wanted to know, and I can understand why they want to be able to contact, landlords. But I'm just saying, from a tenant's point of view, they just may not be comfortable saying that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't understand. Actually, I should pull this up so that I can look at it because I don't quite remember all of this stuff. Hold on. I didn't understand exactly what they wanted about the mass save question. Like,
I agree.
for tenants, because I filled it out as a tenant. Do they want to know whether the landlord has already taken advantage of mass save? Or is it suggesting that the landlord get the tenants to engage with mass save? And the other thing I was curious about is if you're a tenant and 2 years ago a previous tenant already did mass save and got the bulbs and stuff, but it would say it was a year ago, because I think you're only allowed to do it every 2 years. Well, can a new tenant, is it like, does it start all over again? I don't know. But it would be good to find that out. But I just wasn't sure exactly what information they were trying to get with that question. And then in the weather events, they didn't say anything about no heat. They said something about it getting too hot, the problems that might come about, but they didn't say anything about it getting too cold. Like if you're
no heat.
Yeah. And then they ask if your provider is National Grid. No one in Easthampton has National Grid, as far as I know. We're all Eversource, right?
As far as I know.
So they need to just change that.
So.
It's weird because Northampton is National Grid, but we are not.
Right.
And then under the question about the Pioneer Valley Transit Authority, I was thinking that if they just ask whether or not you use it, they should ask why, if not, why you don't use it. Typically because it doesn't go anywhere I want to go is the reason I don't use it.
Yeah, frequency is also an issue.
And frequency, yeah. I figured out one time what it would take for me to take a bus into Boston starting from Easthampton. It was like 12 hours or something. It was just insane because there's no connections.
Right. You have to get to Spring. You have to get to Holyoke, from Holyoke to Springfield.
Yeah, and then you have to wait and wait because you missed the only bus going into Boston for that day.
Right.
Then within a mile of services, once again, as it happens, I am almost within a mile to get to Big E from where I live, but I can't get to my doctor. And I can't get to the CVS where I'm required to get my prescriptions filled because of my insurance. So I thought that should be broken down a bit more.
Could we process suggestion? Could we just take this question at a time? Because now you're together.
Yes, of
because
course.
Because you're going to go through your rundown, then we're going to go back and start a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes,
I just think it makes more
let's
sense
do that.
to take each question. Anybody have a comment on this question?
Let's do that. Of course. Should we go back?
Also easier for Cassie to deal with, and although you've got written stuff.
So let's go back. Did you have something about the introductory statement?
Nothing significant.
I like your suggestions.
Where's the survey? I've got so many documents open here. I gotta get the survey.
Try and navigate.
Let's look. All right, so
you guys
the
want to
next.
wait, I can print more of them.
Don't.
Yeah.
Because we're not. It's not even. It's not going to be the final one. It's
Next
just.
one. Oh, I just had an issue. I just commented that some of the strategies that will be explored, just that they're not strategies by themselves. They're areas of consideration that have to do with climate and resilience. Land use is not a strategy. Land use is a topic. It's an area of investigation. There's similar things there. They're not necessarily little strategies. And
Although
this is part of technology speak.
How people.
That's how we speak about it. I don't know that the average Joe thinks about strategies, climate change strategies.
So what term? Because I thought about that too.
I suggested an area, whatever. It's in my printout. Did you get that? I can't keep all these open at the same time. Anyway, so that was the only thing on the first thing.
But yeah, what I would be curious to know what a good substitute for that would be.
So he wrote
It's a
some
little
areas
awkward,
being
but-
studied for greenhouse gas reduction and climate adaptation include renewable energy, land use.
Yeah, I agree.
Some areas being studied, yeah.
Or explored.
They aren't,
Yeah,
they aren't strategies per se. Within energy efficiency, there's 16 different strategies. Within land use, there's multiple different strategies. They by themselves are not strategies. Small point. It's not worth spending a lot of time.
It could be areas. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you about that.
Anyway, it's small. We shouldn't get hung up on too little stuff. That was just a little suggestion. But
Well, again, it's all
Yeah,
good critical thinking about the whole thing.
agreed.
yeah, it doesn't say here under if we're going down, you put your name in and how long you've lived in Easthampton. Doesn't say there. Oh, it does say optional first and last name.
I know. I just thought it should be bolded.
Oh,
So that,
okay.
because I just thought, we want to be sure people don't think they have to, that's all.
Yeah,
And I don't know if it's even possible, it's just a suggestion.
yeah. What else are we? You rent or you own? I don't think there's really any, I thought, is there any other option? I can't think of any other option than you either rent or own your home. Unless you're just couch
Crash.
surfing.
Yeah.
Type of home, I thought that covered it. I mean, let's, wish they were numbered.
Yeah.
I mean, now we don't know even said how to direct each other. Where are we?
I know, Trey, you're under, I'm
That wasn't your
under
thing. They did
homeowner, what
this.
type of home do you live in? When was it built?
Yeah. I had a question for Cassie earlier, which kind of got answered, I think, about, I was wondering, where did 1980 to 209 come from? And then after 209, and the best guess we could come up with is that 2009 was our base.
Is there
our
building codes
reference
or
year-
something?
It's our
reference year.
baseline year for the
Baseline.
communities.
Okay.
I don't know if that was why, but yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if there's some technology change in home
Right,
construction
or like
or
some sort of-
new tech, yeah.
Or a
New codes.
New code of
Yeah.
some sort, yeah. that-
But, you know, they can answer that. Hopefully there's a logic behind it.
Just one thing on the type of home thing, they call it a small condominium building or a large condominium building. Do they mean just like apartments there?
Are you looking at business?
I'm under
Type-
homeowner.
Oh, I
Apartment.
was
type of-
looking, oh, okay,
Oh, that's if you, is that if you rent or is it if you own? I guess because I'm under homeowner, so you're under renter.
Yes, this is
That's the
better.
difference.
Oh, I didn't-
So I guess if you
I didn't-
own, it would theoretically
Yes,
be a
condo
condo.
or
not-
co-op. Could be a co-op, very
Do we
cool.
have co-ops in Easthampton?
I don't know. I'm a renter, what do I know?
Oh, boy.
I didn't even consider the fact that you'd get a different set of
Yeah,
questions.
I didn't either.
I followed the homeowner one.
Right.
I didn't look at the rent, homeowner one, so we
Yeah,
that's
so
Okay,
that's
let's,
good.
go along
Yeah.
with this and then we'll see what else is different.
Yeah. Does that, under renter, does it ask when your home was built?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait a minute, why if
Yeah, I have it.
condo maybe? If it's a condo, then you might have a building management company, but still own your, because I'm under the homeowner track, but it's asking me, is there a building management company?
Yeah, there
It
might
must
still be like
condo.
a homeowners association where they like do something. or-
Right.
Company.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then the mass save thing.
Does it
Yeah.
ask about weather events
says, has the
under
building-
renter? Yeah, just-
Yes, but it doesn't come next.
If you suffered any damage to your home due to weather.
Under the renter
events.
chain?
But
I'm under
mass,
the homeowner.
mass
Yeah.
save is before
Well,
that.
Nobody's done the renter one, have we?
We
Yes.
did the renter
You
one.
did, I'm sorry.
So the question, what they say is, has the building management company or property owner approached you regarding the mass save program? But that isn't the only thing they want to know. We want to know whether the building owner has taken advantage of
Right,
mass
I
save.
agree with that
would
one.
be different.
But they wouldn't expect the renter to know that
That's why the
necessarily.
building
Oh.
owner hopefully will also take the survey and they will check off the owner.
Okay, I see,
Right.
But
okay.
I went the building owner track here, and they're still asking, has the building management company or property owner approached you regarding the mass save program? I think
Okay.
oh wait, did I hit the renter track? I thought I hit the owner. Oh, you know what, this is just blank, this one I didn't select.
So then it seems to
Wow.
me, as a renter,
Yeah.
since I do have the option also of taking advantage of the mass save program, there should be something it shouldn't just be, have I been approached by my landlord? There should be something, it should somehow also include the fact that maybe I'm like such a together renter that I have contacted mass save myself, or, because I see these questions also as trying to light bulbs for people, or also just sort of letting people know, just because you're a renter doesn't mean that mass save like give you free light bulbs if nothing else, you know? So I think that needs to be worked on a little bit to include what I just said.
I think that was I think to keep this in mind, if we agree, to sort of evaluate the survey in these terms I think that's a good way to portray which goal, setting up light bulbs. But I think it seems to me there's three goals. We talked about an overarching goal, but one way to put this, I think, is one goal of the survey is measuring, at least from subjective data of the owners of the buildings, owners and renters, as opposed to getting it from MEI, from the Energy and Information Agency of data or utility data. It's from their perspective. So it's measuring conditions and behavior, or measuring conditions and consciousness of people. Then the second was lighting bulbs. is sort of imparting some information, letting them know there's avenues to follow up. And the third is getting information from them with which we can follow up. The consultant or the committee, the town, the city can follow up. Those seem to me to be three critical parts of what we're getting at here.
I would only add that in terms of the goal of informing people, I think that would be an added benefit and should be pursued if possible, but the purpose of the climate action plan and the purpose of doing this survey is to figure out how to best reach people. What is the biggest barriers for them for learning about this? What do they know about? So in the educational piece of this survey, I think should be lower.
It's implicit. It's not.
It should be, if it can be achieved, we should do
right.
it. But the main goal is trying to get information from the people because we're going to pursue other things in the future that are more tailored to being successful based off of the results of the survey.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Okay.
But it's like some of the things we're doing in the course of listing options is kind of like, is a light bulb function in a way. And you can't go too far with the education because we think we're doing this in 10 minutes. I don't think you're doing it in 10 minutes.
Don't want to make it too long.
It didn't take me very long to fill it out. I don't know.
Those are my essay questions.
I know.
It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of questions.
So, and the weather events
it's going to be a bit
one,
of a burden for people to do.
The next thing is weather events, and it did seem like it says extreme heat due to lack of air conditioning, but shouldn't it also be inadequate heat? I mean, if they're looking for issues related to power outages, wouldn't it also be, my heat's not on? I don't know.
Again, the homeowner one has both. It has extreme heat and extreme cold.
Oh, it does. It's not on the renter one.
We don't care about
Okay, that's okay.
I don't see
it may just be an oversight.
Yeah.
Where is that?
So
I see extreme heat. I'm putting on the. Oh, you know what? Again,
He's on the owner.
for some reason, the version I'm looking at here is not allowing me to follow a track. Click
Is
on
it
it,
the
follow the
PDF?
track. It's a PDF.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
okay.
interactive.
Shoot. Okay.
And then the home emergency, I didn't have anything about that.
About what?
The home emergency one. I didn't.
Responses, are you concerned?
Did you?
Comments? Look at my Word document.
Like-
Go ahead, Jamie.
I'm curious. This is the renter one. I'm curious. Now I'm interested in how they're different. I didn't even look. This is what's.
Well, this is both. They're staying cool during extreme heat, staying warm during extreme cold.
That's the second one.
That's
the first one.
But that's not. That's what are you worrying
experience.
about? It doesn't.
Right.
But this is what have you experienced?
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's something about being cold.
Yeah, I think that's been added in there, especially.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
But there is about it getting too hot.
Where's that thing?
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
So yeah, this is all the same.
Yeah, and then this is just asking you about your heating.
Right.
And air conditioning.
Cooling, right.
Um,
So let me see the electric utility provider on this one, because mine only had Eversource. as an
oh well,
option.
this one somewhere. Yeah.
One of
This
them
is
has
Eversource.
National
Well, it
Grid
says gas
under
utility
gas.
provider, National
That's
Grid.
what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Gas. They're not
Yeah,
gas.
we
They're
don't.
not
We
even
don't.
a gas provider.
Eversource
on my own.
only provides gas. Eversource
Well-
provides gas and electricity to East
Anyway.
Hampton.
I think who bought Columbia Gas?
Eversource.
Eversource did.
So they now do both.
Right.
Okay, so that would be Eversource and not
Yeah, I
National.
can, we can double check with them.
Yeah.
I'm positive about
Okay.
Okay. I don't have gas.
that. Yeah, I do. So yeah, and I paid
thing is that-
Eversource.
The odd thing is that some of the Western Sampson people live in town, right?
Right.
Or work in town.
I think the one
Live.
person that
That's-
did live here doesn't work Weston Sampson anymore.
Oh,
I think. I
Oh.
can't remember his name.
is that Ted?
Ted. Yeah.
Oh, really? I just saw him.
Yeah, he doesn't work for Weston Sampson anymore. That happened like right when we started. It's too bad.
Ah,
Yeah.
he just took another job.
I don't know. I don't know what the story is.
I saw him
Yeah.
at the soccer field. I
Yeah.
asked him.
Okay, where are we? Under.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
so
he's
we've
in
done
that original meeting.
electricity provider, gas provider. Do you have solar is the next thing? Any
Hold on a second.
comments?
No, we went through what type of heating and cooling systems you have. Did
Right.
we talk about that?
Yeah, we just
I think
did.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with those.
Utilities should say water sewer as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, if nothing else, if I'm one of these people, I'm saying, well, They don't
it's-
mention sewer, I don't wanna, skip that, it's water and sewer together.
Oh, is sewer a separate?
Combination.
A separate.
No, it's
just-
all.
Oh, I see,
it's
so
all
you just
one
want it to be,
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
water slash
Yeah.
sewer, okay, that makes sense.
It's
I would move the internet above the none too. I don't know why they have none and then internet underneath it.
Oh, yeah, that's
That way.
weird, yeah, you're right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not really such a relevant thing for this whole thing anyway. Like, whether
Yeah.
people have it.
User experience matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Which,
And
Should be predictable.
gas
I see.
utility provider, we've talked about,
Do you have solar?
solar, is there anything?
I had a thought that, maybe you said photovoltaic solar and you have roof, ground, community, and then you have solar out water, separate thing, but it works
I don't
this way,
think-
it's
yeah.
okay,
You can collect. You can click multiple, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
it's okay.
And then a kind of
No, it's
vehicle,
just-
Do you think it'd be reasonable that would be an opportunity for dejargonizing it?
yeah,
It's not using internal combustion? Or am I just a fool?
That's-
That would be like, trip me up.
I was saying gas,
Gas powered.
gas combustion engine, diesel combustion. It'd be nice to know the difference between
that's
how
a
many
good
people
one.
have gas and diesel for one thing.
Yeah.
I admit,
People
I
get
had
the
to stop
combustion.
for a minute when I saw that, I have internal combustion, that's what I've got, yeah.
People get combustion.
I've got a car.
I've seen
Right.
ice.
Yeah. No one talks about
I've
that.
seen like, oh, do you have an ice vehicle?
Yeah, right.
Who is it?
Patrolling the border.
Yeah.
And then the charging question, I don't have any comments about it because I'm
Like, where do you charge it?
It's an interesting question. I'm curious to see what people say if they have them.
and then barriers.
Did you already go by, barriers, you already, that's the, yeah, I see, okay. No, where do you charge? I thought that was pretty comprehensive. Oh, did I have this thought about
Installing charging
cost? Wait a
infrastructure.
second, let me just check.
Should there be a question that's barriers for installing solar?
There is a question. Well, it says if you have solar, please describe any challenges. If
Oh.
you do not have solar, what barriers may prevent you from installing
No.
solar?
No, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's there.
I don't think it's on this one though.
You know, maybe not on the
Well, it
renter.
wouldn't be on a renter, I
It's not,
guess.
okay, good. Well, then it sounds like it's good on the.
Yeah.
On the homeowner
Oh,
side,
good.
it is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
my
it's tough.
landlord hostage.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay.
Although, well, I will say,
Charger.
there's the thing here, solar barrier, what barriers may prevent you from installing solar? This last one, difficulties or procrastination of obtaining information and quotes.
Maybe not, maybe we could take out the
Yeah, I mean,
procrastination.
Wait, that's in your version?
It's
That's
kind
in
of
the
judgy.
homeowner version. It's
Property
definitely
owner.
judgy.
Judgy.
Difficult, I would just say, yeah,
Wait a minute, that's in there?
it's in there. It says difficulties or procrastination of obtaining information and quotes. Number one, it's not
That's not
really
even well
grammatic. It's not
worded. Just-
grammatically
I
well
think
worded.
just
Just
Yeah.
delays in,
difficulties.
just say delays in getting quotes.
Yeah,
you have to say
difficulties
that.
obtaining information or quotes.
You can
I
say
think would
difficulty
be-
finding time to do it. I think that's reasonable.
Oh, I thought that meant it was vendor response difficulties there.
Well, that's a good question
Reading.
too. Like, yeah, it could be that they're.
By community solar, do they mean like a company that you purchase your electricity from that provides something different than what Eversource gives you, right?
I
That's what that
I'm a
term.
community solar subscriber.
Right, so that
yeah,
could
I
be
buy
something
into
added to,
Like River Valley's considered.
right, okay, got it, yep.
They do have a community solar program
Program.
where you can buy part of
Rocky Hill, where I used to live in Florence,
Yeah,
it's co-housing.
yeah.
They've got a community solar, a group of people bought into it together and share the benefits.
Did you mention that because you
I don't think it's.
No,
quite
I
as
didn't
much.
there, I didn't think it was.
Oh, I just don't know if it
Unless,
should be explained if people don't know what community solar is. But if you have.
Well, if you
community
have it, I mean, I
You
knew
have
what it
community solar, you
was,
would
but I
know.
didn't,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's
exactly.
Well, that's
I think
where,
that's
I mean, yeah, this could, I mean, the thought I had is that, that's where this can turn into, like, just beyond a question, like an educational opportunity
Yeah.
as well. Like,
Put a link in there.
right?
If it's not
Yeah,
hard.
seriously, like put a link in there. Like, let somebody click on a link that takes them to a
I
community
think,
solar.
I don't think we
like-
should do that, you know why, because
Yeah.
it starts to get visually.
Well, I know, and then you take people away from the survey, maybe they don't
That's
come back and
true.
It's not
finish
gonna be
it.
easy if
so-
they have a written version, if they happen to have a paper version, it's not
Yeah.
gonna be too helpful.
I mean, we could change to community clean energy solar, that would be a little,
I think that's
Why
too.
does that help?
Clarity.
it would
That's
just be a
more
little more
confusing.
information, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, I
let's
guess
move
we're-
on.
if you have community
I
solar,
think that's
you-
one thing people know, that
If they
solar's
have-
clean energy, I don't think there's
Okay.
much.
Yeah.
So where are we?
I thought that we're at.
Then it
EV
was
public
like,
charger.
if you don't have
Yeah,
solar,
my problem with
you're
this-
stuck with that.
My problem with this
Okay.
is that who wouldn't use one, wait, the one about community, wait, where is it? Where's the community one? I just thought I saw one that said, would you use community charger? Yeah, there it is. Would you consider, if you could not install one, of course you would. I think what we're gonna ask them is, my suggestion was, occasionally, sometimes, always. I mean, that's what we're, you know.
I think that potentially, I know it's a good question. Maybe what they're reaching for is like, look like they could use that as a metric. Be like, everyone said they would use it if we installed it, or like, I don't know what the reason would be if for someone to say no. But they could be like, they're not fast enough. So maybe there should be, why not, if no? Like, what would possibly be the reason for not using? Because like this gentleman who was just here, he was like, it's not fast enough. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to go to where the faster one is, or I don't know. I wonder if it's valuable to keep the question, but only if there's an explanation.
Okay. Some people just use it to top off while they're, I would think,
so.
while they're shopping or
Right.
something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my battery. I can plug in. I don't know. Just a thought is, you know, are there people out there who think that they might rely on a public charger to support their vehicle when there's, you know, if they have no other option? Or
Oh, that is the question. It's almost like, do you feel like public EV chargers would be enough if you can't install a charger at your house? That is maybe what the,
Oh, I didn't interpret it
no,
that way.
I'm not sure either. But it's either that or are we going to get enough customer citizen response to our chargers if we put them out there? That's the other. I don't know.
It's almost like if you could not install one in your residence, would you still consider buying an electric vehicle?
That's
It's
really
almost
what the question is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next question is, and if so, how far would you be willing to go? You'd have to park your vehicle. How far away would
Yeah.
you be willing to go
Yeah,
to
that
use
is a
it?
question in here.
I put
right?
it for, no, I know, but then
Yes.
that question
That's
makes more
logical follow-up.
sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
okay, yeah, I think that's.
Let's just get
good
clarification.
clarity, yeah.
Say we tell them nobody really understood where they were going.
Okay,
For sure.
makes sense.
You know, does public transportation translate as buses, right? There's nothing else around here,
think
so
so.
it's okay.
Yeah, train. Not train.
I mean, yeah, you could say, well, I can go to Northampton Depot. That's not a mile, but Northampton train station for.
I mean, I do live just about a mile from a stop. Yes.
That's
Yeah, because if you're a mile from Big E, there's a
Right.
stop
Exactly.
right there. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that
Yeah, I am
information is
too.
helpful because then it's like, okay, well then can we somehow help make that more of a, attractive option for you?
Right, because do I use it?
Yeah.
No.
Me too, yeah, I don't use it.
I used to take. I had an office in Northampton. I used to take it all the
Oh, I
time.
love
I
that.
took it like every day
That
for
would make
years and
sense.
years.
Yeah.
Because
But
it
then
was like
so then the next thing
one-car
is,
family.
it asks if yes, please describe where you take it. It doesn't say if no, please say why not.
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
to
I
me-
added that here. So yeah,
That would be a useful piece of information.
Yeah, and the only options for where you can take, well, not the only options, but really the only option for Easthampton where you can take it is you can take it to Northampton or you can take it to the
To the
Holyoke
mall.
Mall.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's really the only route.
That's right.
Before we get there, I think there's just a little jargon consistency here and maybe demystification or whatever.
I'm sorry, where?
The first question, do you live within a mile of public transportation? So that's one reference we're making. The next one is, do you use PBTA authority bus system?
Right.
Why don't we just say, do you live within a mile of the bus system, the public bus, or call it PBTA in both cases if we think people know what PBTA
It's the
is.
same thing,
Or just call
right?
it a bus, or
There
just
isn't
call.
any other bus system besides PBT.
I don't think there is.
Right. I see your
I'd
point.
call
It's
it-
like,
And then
use the same-
then we use the acronym PBTA without having,
It's fully established what
yeah,
it is.
above, that's an acronym. So that's just some
Okay, this is
consistency.
good.
So it should either be, do you use public transportation, or do you live within a mile of the Pioneer Valley Transit Authority bus system? They should be
Do
consistent,
you
one
use
way or the
public
other.
transportation? Do you live within a mile of a
public
local bus
transportation.
station or whatever,
Or
local
public
bus stop?
transportation,
Bus
yeah,
stop.
one or the other.
Or public transportation. Do you live within a mile of public transportation,
Yeah.
such as the Pioneer Valley Transit Authority? PD.
You know what? They can wordsmith it.
Yeah.
As long as we point out to them,
It can
we'll
just be,
point
do
out
you
to
live
them
in a
what
mile of
the
the
issue
Pioneer
is.
Valley Transit Authority bus system?
Yeah,
That's
simple.
all it needs to be,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that was a good catch there, I agree with you.
My problem with the next one is it doesn't tell you a lot whether I say
Which
yes.
one now?
Sorry, do you live within a mile of retail or services that you utilize? It doesn't tell me a lot, and so I propose saying, where is my, just saying, relative, getting at how much can you, where's my damn thing? You have it.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
How much can you, do you live within a mile of some, none, some, or most of my
Yeah, and I
retail?
suggested breaking it down even more, like whichever, but I agree there should be a little more information.
Because yes or no doesn't,
Yeah.
I can go to the liquor store within a mile,
Oh, I
but everything
can.
else I drive to, I mean, it's.
Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Could probably say the similar thing about biking and walking,
With the
much of the
bike,
time, hardly ever, none of, sorry.
right, no, I think that should have multiple choices.
Yeah,
Like
instead of
often,
yes,
sometimes, no, whatever, never, whatever.
The next one is just like open answer. They want you to just describe where and how often for biking and walking.
Yeah, you could still have that even with like an often,
Yeah.
We're gonna lose out.
occasionally, never. I would say with the biking, do we want to ask if people also use the, whatever the bike,
The rail trail?
the subscription
Yeah.
service, what's it called?
It's called the Valley Bike
Valley
program,
Bike.
and the future of it is uncertain.
I don't even understand it, to
Right,
tell you
well-
the truth, because I would have to walk a mile to get one, and I have a bike. So if I want to buy a bike, I get on my bike.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is.
The point is like for
I want to
people
go
that
to
don't have
Amherst.
bikes, it's like
and I'm too
Williston
lazy
kids that
to
don't have a
ride
bike.
my bike all the way to Amherst.
Yeah.
So I'll ride my bike to the neighborhood, Ferry Street area, neighborhood, Newtown, what is it called?
New City.
New
Yeah.
City. I don't know if I'm allowed to tie my bike up on that railing, probably not. But I tie my bike up
I'm sure
somewhere
you
else. I'll
are.
grab their bike and
It's
I'll
electric.
take an easy
So
ride
it's
to
easy.
Amherst.
But how
Or
often,
Northampton.
does that happen to people? It just, I don't know. We're spending a lot of, I don't know.
Well, I think again,
Let's find out.
it's generally speaking, especially in other cities, like you say New York City.
In a
Of course,
city, I
there,
get it.
yeah, but it's even then a lot of people might have bikes, but it's geared towards it's geared towards younger people,
Yeah.
generally speaking. People that aren't going to own a home with a garage they can keep a bike
Yeah.
in. Maybe they rent, maybe they're
But
Williston
they also
kids,
are
and like
closer
whatever.
to where the
And
electric
they're
bikes
closer to where they
are.
can
If I
be,
could
yeah.
pick one up down at the end of my street, that would be one thing, but it wouldn't be, it's not that convenient for me,
Right.
that's
It may
why.
make sense to like focus on environmental justice communities for use of them as a car
You may need to
alternative.
move.
That's right.
Well, see, I didn't know that. That makes more sense to me. I
But
see.
the future's uncertain just because like
Also-
subscribe numbers are not great.
Cost
or
of
No,
just-
but the owner of like the parent umbrella company went bankrupt, I think. And so it's not like owned by anyone.
Shit.
I don't know the details of it. It's like way more like
Yeah.
sad than not just.
Is that why the bikes weren't out there? Are they still not out? I was wondering like
they
a month
took them
ago,
off.
this weather's pretty good. What people re-bike?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I didn't know
I
that.
think that's
There's been
why.
nothing in the Gazette about it.
There, I thought I saw
No?
some.
Oh yeah?
I mean, maybe it's on Facebook though. So
Okay.
like, I don't know what the official thing
Huh.
out there is,
But there's no bikes out there right now.
I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
Interesting.
But I still think with that in mind, I'm like, oh, so is it worth it to keep adding a question about the bikes?
Right.
But I think it is because
Or adding a
it's
question
the-
about bike share generally. Like,
Yeah,
would you
yeah.
participate in a bike share or a
Yeah.
bike subscription or whatever? I don't know however you want to. I think there should be something in there.
Yeah.
about it. Because again, from a resilience, from a environmental justice, from a just like reducing car usage
Yeah.
kind of thing, like we want to capture like, hey, yeah, maybe we could put can you get a stable of electric bikes in like every neighborhood
Right, yeah.
somehow, somewhere, like
Uh,
love to have one.
kind of pricey.
You never know.
You
We'll
never
see.
Never know.
Cheaper the car.
I've got to go in about 20 minutes.
Okay, let's keep
And
moving
I'd
on
like
then.
to do a quick update on the electric bus thing before I go.
Okay. Well, we're towards the end of this,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't do the business version, but
Can pass written comments to Cassie.
yeah, we've already
Yeah.
shared written
On
comments.
On the
but-
business, I started taking notes on it, but
The next meeting, I think, is this Thursday for the climate action.
It occurs to me looking at this that very few people know what the term tree canopy refers to. And are there areas where you feel there could be more tree canopy? I think we should just say more trees. I mean, seriously, how many
Right,
people know what that
right,
means?
just trees gets across though.
Yeah.
Trees get, and I'm not sure where you are.
We just passed the public transportation part, bicycling, and
Oh,
Where do you go?
It's like barriers.
What prevents you?
Yeah, what
Interest in composting.
Yeah, and now then under that,
Oh, there it is,
that's tree canopy.
Yeah.
Ours are in different order, I think. Is that true?
No, I don't know. I'm following what he's saying.
It's right after composting?
Yeah, it's right after
Yeah.
composting.
Oh my God,
Let's,
that's
all right,
order
let's
for
do,
some
let's
reason.
see, funding source.
Conserve water questions?
I had a comment, but I'm not gonna waste our time repeating it here. You've got it, and we can pass along, see what they think about that. But it's,
There was
I
something.
could see why you.
So, but it is strange, like limit lawn watering and then do not water my lawn. Like those kind of capture the same information,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I would say maybe something else on the water one too. It says say efficient appliances like dishwasher and washing machine. But I mean, you're going to ask if people turn off the water while they brush their teeth. You could say like, you know, washing dishes by hand versus a dishwasher. Like dishwashers
Actually,
theoretically save
I was
money,
just gonna
right?
say, save water.
Save water.
Save
I mean,
water,
save
too,
water.
right.
Yeah. I have a dishwasher that I don't use. So. I have a problem with dishwashers.
The composting question, I had a question about that. Where, I can't find it. I don't see it here. But I was a little confused. What's
It
the
says,
wording on it?
yes, I'm already composting. It says, do you have an interest in composting? Select all that apply.
Okay.
Yes, I am already composting. Yes, interested in a curbside pickup. Yes, interested in a drop-off composting location. Yes, interested in backyard composting.
So this
Not
is
interested.
suggesting that we might provide a company would come and pick up their.
We can refer them
People's
to, we can
compost.
refer them to companies.
Oh, there are companies that do that.
There's pedal
Yeah,
people
pedal
does
people that picks up
composting.
compost.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
I don't know how many new customers they're up for taking on, but
Well, they lost me when I moved because I moved out of their radius.
Yeah.
So I was a compost-only customer
The
before
citizen-
that.
And we already have a community garden. Where was the thing where they said something about? I think I'm in the wrong section
That's
here.
another question, I
I've jumped ahead. Let's
I'm
see.
sorry.
It's okay. Just quickly, concerned about the climate change,
Right.
actions in your home lifestyle to reduce contribution to climate change. Please elaborate actions you take to reduce climate change.
think. Oh, the climate, are you concerned about climate change? I think it's another one. I suggested we say none, some,
Like
or
give a range,
totally. I mean, you know, whatever,
yeah.
some kind of range on
Yes,
it.
I'm freaking out. Like,
Yeah,
it'll be
existential
fine.
crisis.
I mean, what if- I mean, what do we know if 90% of people say I'm concerned about it? Or what do we know if 90% say, actually, we'll tell you something, if 90% say no,
Yeah.
maybe we'll spend this money some other way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be good to have some gradations in there.
Have you taken actions?
And then once again, because of jargon, when it asks about barriers, limited familiarity with sustainable options, maybe it could say lack of information about my options, just because it's
Yeah, that's
simpler.
good.
And then I thought it should also add lack of access to public transportation. I mean, I know they have a whole section about it, but
Well, it does say alternative modes of transportation don't align with my
that what
schedule
that means?
responsibilities physical abilities. That's not really worded.
You could say don't
Terrific.
work,
Because I
but
think they're trying to capture public transport and EVs and bikes.
how about
and that
lack of
kind
alternative modes of transportation instead? I don't
Just
know.
Not all the explanation after.
I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe we're getting too picky here.
Mhm.
Alternative modes of transportation don't align with my schedule. That does mean buses. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I mean,
I would maybe even add, I mean,
it's more than buses, biking, walking.
EVs.
I would maybe even add something in there that's captures the feeling that like my individual actions aren't going to make a difference
Oh, I like that.
kind of thing, because that's a big barrier for people who are like, I'm one person. What is my composting going to do?
I think that's
We
really
should just
good.
call that a psychological barrier.
Yeah.
There is the-
So I said
I think it's
psychological
legit.
barriers. Yeah.
It's legit to see what people say.
Yeah, there's
Really
economic
helplessness.
barriers, there's logistical barriers, there's psychological barriers, there's all sorts of.
So once again, this section is where I thought it should be really changed. I mean, you've got a copy of this, but I think the language should be simplified. And I was thinking once again in terms of just subtly, implicitly giving people information. Changing provide resources on net zero enabling technology, what is that? To provide resources for learning about climate-friendly, energy-efficient options such as heat pumps that provide new technology for electric heating and cooling homes, and for heating water, that's too much probably, but solar panels, adding insulation, just like giving some using electric, just listing some stuff that would be there instead of, I know that's what net zero enabling technology is.
I would, go ahead.
I don't want to start listing everything out. I would almost just wonder if like the term
Or how about
energy
provide
neutral or
resources for
something
learning
like that.
about climate-friendly,
I agree with you,
energy-efficient options?
excuse me, I agree with you, Connie, and my
Yeah.
proposal was, instead of net zero technology, say low carbon home heat and power technology.
I think even low
carbon
carbon is a.
What about energy neutral?
What about climate-friendly,
People- I think people-
energy-efficient
I
options?
think people get low carbon a lot better than they get what net zero means.
Well, we can make them, again, wordsmith it, and I think just noting that it's
Yeah,
too jargony,
right,
I think is legit.
Okay,
So I
okay.
can, yeah, we can figure it out, but yeah, this is helpful.
I would also suggest in that same section that the terminology, where does it, I have the survey in front of me, I lost the survey, but I said, there's a policy wonk kind of, implementation, successful implementations,
yeah.
technology solutions. This is all like the talk of public policy people.
Excuse me.
And how about provide successful local examples of low carbon home heat and power or whatever, or provide successful examples. And let's talk about successful implementation. It sounds
Yeah, I like
it sounds
that.
like policy talk. And
And
from
I
their
also,
perspective, what's successful implementation?
and I thought that the one above that, instead of, you could say provide resources for learning about your options, the costs, rebates, tax credits. That's what we're talking about, but they don't know that that's what we're talking about. That's really what that question is. Do you want us to get you information about this stuff?
That's largely financial aspect of it you're talking about, but
Costs and
that is part of
incentives.
it.
I'm talking about costs and incentives, and I think that should be spelled out instead of just saying costs and incentives.
Where are we?
Options, costs, rebates, tax credits.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, finally got on there.
And then the next two, neighbors and successful implementation, they're kind of almost the same. Like, I wondered if I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Those could probably be combined.
And I was thinking that the one about neighbors, connect
Just
you
say
with
connect.
members of the community that have implemented, I did use implemented, climate-friendly, sustainable solutions. I don't know. But I don't think we need both of them.
Right. I think, yeah. Connecting with neighbors would provide example. I think
Yeah, I wonder if it means like having like a kind of community of people who talk about these things, kind of like you were talking about, like the individual aspect is like disturbing, whereas if you can know about other people who care about, I don't know. That's my guess at maybe what they were trying to get at there, but it does seem really similar to the one before it. So if that's what they're trying to get at, it should be clear.
Well, I actually wrote that I didn't quite understand what that first one actually was referring to,
Yeah.
successful implementation.
right.
I'm not clear about what are they thinking
I
for
wonder if
that
like
one.
successsal examples, just like people who did it.
Oh,
This
really?
house.
435.
But isn't that
Actually,
just,
yeah.
but
Edie, all I need to
How
know
is that different
is
from
the mayor
connecting? I
going
don't
to
know.
discuss,
With neighbors.
we had a chance to talk with the
I wonder
mayor
if they
about
mean like
the EV proposal.
information on like.
that's for like an
Yeah.
educational piece.
We don't need to
I don't know.
meeting or in
We can
between.
leave both of
Just wait
them.
for
On the other
meeting.
hand, what the hell?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Nothing more to really
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they have. Does it have more responses?
No, if you want to do that before we reach.
We have a community garden already.
Okay.
So
Just
under
that little-
increased public access to sustainable options, well, I suppose maybe a lot of people don't have access to community
That's-
gardens. It's really far away.
And only about
Okay.
like 10 people use it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
not-
it's in the middle of nowhere if you don't have a car.
It's
Right.
beautiful, but
It is
it's
very
hard to
pretty.
reach.
It's right by the
So like, could there be more?
apple
Could
orchard.
there be-
Yeah, sure, I could bike there.
I actually, it occurred to me that one of the things that maybe we should put on the survey is something about, would you be interested in acting as, I don't know what the term would be, but it's someone in the community who, would you like to help spread the word, is what I'm thinking. Something,
Yeah, That'd be good.
Would you like to volunteer to help us once
Right,
we?
or be a part of our successful implementation
Something.
group or something like
I
that.
love that.
It was something.
Because what I was
Can
thinking
you just grab me at town hall?
is,
Meetings.
yeah, one of the things that they might come out of this in terms of like just examples, and maybe it's like, a series of short videos, like, hey, here's me, here's my house in Easthampton, here's what I did. Let me walk you through.
Right,
Here's
or-
my electric
or-
panel upgrade. Here's my EV charger.
And
that I
also
have
allowing
installed.
people to come see your house. Like I
Right.
did write something.
Well, they've done, they do like solar home tours and things like that. That's a
Yeah.
next stage implementation thing. But
that
I
wasn't
think
the one I sent you guys. I don't think.
I like your idea of
Do you wanna take
like
this?
trying to establish those,
Sure. Thank you.
starting to collect those people
Yeah,
who are willing
this
to
is
do that
this is like an
now.
opportunity to get some
Right.
names. So
Right.
it seems like we ought to do that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. We didn't go through the business part. You said Thursday you're going to be talking.
Wednesday, we're meeting with them.
Wednesday
Yeah.
we meet with them. Okay.
And so,
What time is that?
Yeah.
Wednesday's a half day of school.
I made a couple of comments about the business part, which I'll just give to you. Like I had this question about the term industry, because there are a lot of people who are like artists, musicians, Pilates teachers, yoga
Right.
teachers. Like what is
They're mostly renters.
But you're talking about
Well,
the business
but I'm
side.
talking about the survey. That like I just wondered whether we should add a couple of other categories there, or whether I don't know whether what we have is fine. I don't know.
this is good. I think, so we're meeting for the climate action plan outside of our normal schedule on Wednesday, the 3rd, at 10 a.m. And if you guys give me written comments about the business side, I can compile it all and
Yeah.
make it in a form that makes
Does
sense
this
to
make
provide to
sense
them.
to you?
Yes, it does,
Okay.
and I appreciate this. So if you're good to go, it sounds like, so that's
I think
good.
so.
And
I didn't have
then,
any issues with it.
and I think that
You're
the
meeting
resident
here,
one,
where are you meeting them?
virtually, you do it online.
Virtually, okay.
Yeah,
I do think that the business
then I can
intro
maybe
needs to be
especially.
rewritten.
okay.
Did you send the link to, yeah.
Sorry.
I do think the business intro should be rewritten as well as the resident one. And then I made some suggestions about implementing all this. It's on the sheet that I gave you. I just came up with some suggestions
Yeah.
of ways we can get the word out.
From their timeline, meeting on Wednesday, what happens next? I mean, they're going to be reworking the survey, but do you know what they're?
No, but I can ask. I'm sure they told me and I can't
If we
think
can
what it
be
is.
there, if I can show up on Wednesday, probably we can ask them directly to, or just hear.
Do they want us to
From
be at
them.
that meeting? Is that?
If you guys want to go, you
I
can
think
go.
we're open to join it whenever we feel.
We just meet. We
able.
meet bi-weekly, so it's like a
Oh.
lot. So we don't.
Yeah.
You've gone through the expectation. You gotta go because it's like.
Well, I mean, do you think it would be useful to have us be there because we looked at the survey, or would it just be too many? I mean, sometimes it's too many people, and especially on Zoom, you know.
At this point, it's probably, unless they want to ask us some additional opinions, at this point, Cassie's got the synthesis of it all and the whole picture from
I do
all
feel
our
like you guys are
comments.
really clear in your comments.
Okay.
I feel like I understand what you, even just the general themes, in addition to the details of what you're trying to get at. So if people want to send me more comments about the business side of the survey, if they're concerned about that, but otherwise, I will take a look at it myself generally. But then, yeah, if you can't provide me comments, but you still have comments you want to, then you can come and be like, I wasn't able to get these beforehand, but I want,
Yeah.
like, if you, Jamie, like, you want to go because.
Yeah, for me, it's just like helpful to hear them talk and
Yeah,
that community
yeah.
in the fuss, even if I'm not really contributing
Sure.
anything. I think.
And then the question of what the timeline is, I'm sure that's what we'll be talking about. I think we
Right.
already talked about it, I can't remember what we said.
Yeah, yeah.
Like monthly meeting.
Okay. Do you want to talk any more about the solid
Just-
waste management numbers? Real quick.
I say skip it because I don't have anything really, any substantive updates, just that like we're working on it.
Not much we can do about it
Yeah.
unless we get some new resolution by the Board of Health.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah, I
the
saw
mayor
your,
work something out
It won't help with past data,
to, you know.
so, but I'm working on it, essentially. I
right,
called-
because we don't have a municipal trash collection service, essentially, we're just like,
Well, there's that,
There's
but
not.
also the Board of Health declined to enforce a regulation they had previously that all the haulers in town have to report data to them, so they
Right.
don't have their data.
right.
Yeah. So I've got the information about who was contracted with in 2017, and I've called them all and I'm waiting on a response, so.
Okay. That'd be a good question for the mayor too, like, hey, would you make this a priority, like, get the Board of Health to like do that again, potentially, I don't know.
Well, we have to decide, or somebody got to decide in connection with the climate action plan and other purposes, do we care about having clear data clear, comprehensive, as possible data about our solid waste stream in the city and where it goes and how many people are participating.
I think if we're doing this, we really want that. I mean, it seems like an important part of it. Okay. That's a good, I think it's a good point for discussion next time. You said real quick on the school bus electrification.
I'm sorry, so there are no, the
I'm
next
sorry.
steps are just that the group meets bi-weekly.
Group meets bi-weekly, they'll meet this Wednesday and then try to figure out what their plan is from there and for it, because they're gonna meet a couple times before our next meeting, so. Again, good to know kind of what they're looking to do next and sort of finalizing and disseminating and all that, because I think you got ideas about how they should be sending it out. We wanna make sure that they're not just forging ahead with plans before we had a chance to meet again.
I'll send emails.
Okay.
in the interim as well.
So the only thing about the buses
Yeah, so I just wanna make sure she's caught up so that.
No, I'm good.
Good, okay. Sorry,
is,
go ahead.
Thank you.
I didn't reach out to the mayor. I didn't feel like I was going to get anywhere given what's going on in the city. I don't. Your
Just
efforts
distracted.
were kind of just whatever. Seemed like they're being not rewarded yet. But you got the
Right.
mayor coming to
Well,
this meeting.
that's why I reached out to see if
Yeah.
she could come to today. She couldn't make it today, so I was
Yeah, I mean,
hoping
if
to
we
come
have
in
a-
June.
If we have a chance to, I mean, I don't know, I think a 15-minute discussion with her about the whole picture with buses and where it fit, that's
Yeah.
part of our decarbonization. But, we're a unique set of circumstances here, or a difficult set of circumstances. We have some options, but they're limited. We propose we work with some of the other regional school districts on pressuring the vendors about electric school buses. Just go over that stuff. It's a little bleaker than I had thought before, having talked with this consultant, Labrie,
Yeah.
that that federal money is not gonna go very far, and the priorities are environmental justice communities right now. And so those subsidies probably not going up to the towns or their vendors, even though legally they could go to their vendors.
Right.
Our hope is that these first order of 15,000 buses or whatever they get out of it, 50,000 buses out of this 5 billion, that it will achieve the economy of scale needed to ramp up the production by industry, plus some of the mandates I think added on recently on emissions will drive the price down so we don't rely on the subsidies. Even if you did get the subsidies, they don't fund you through the life of your 50, 100 years hence. You've got to figure out how to make the thing pay for itself.
Right.
So there's some options, but they're, the channels are pretty narrow, and we just want her support or not to work, reach out to the school committee, reach out to other communities. So
Yeah, and it's our only way
do
forward,
you want
really.
my
so.
advance vote to support what's the word, adjourning, because I won't be here when you need to.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, if we can just see it, because we already
I have
covered.
no updates on the stretch code.
Right, we're gonna wait to talk to the
Yep,
mayor,
yep.
get her input, and then push that to the city council potentially.
You already talked about
presentation.
the EV benefits.
You talked about the
program.
MOVE benefits program. Do you have in green community? I mean, we don't have a ton of updates right now.
I just want to ask one question about that grant. Is any person who's on a committee for the city eligible?
Apparently, yes.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
very
take one.
nice.
You have more questions on
And
this.
again, it's
no
not
cash
really like a
incentive.
financial incentive. It's just really like them helping you
There's
navigate the
some
process.
consultation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because they're trying to push people to do it. But you had something that you wanted to come up though. I said,
Oh,
we
yeah,
had new other
maybe we don't
business.
have, maybe we just don't have
Okay, well,
time
what is
for
it?
this.
So we'll add it to make sure it's for the record.
The building electrification group, is that what they're called?
I can't remember.
Which they're the people who were behind getting 10 cities and towns to be able to set up their own building codes that were and refusing to let any new fossil fuel buildings be built. And they're actually part of the Rocky Mountain Institute, which is national and
Yeah,
I gotta
provides.
go, guys.
Okay,
You're just
I'll write this up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so we have a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I second the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, meeting's over. I will have to stop recording.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.